So the trailer of the My Little Pony: A New Generation movie has came out today, and we still only have a month and 12 days or 13 days until it comes on Netflix. And after watching this trailer, I have to say that it's something that is mostly underwhelming. Not to say that any of the characters are really boring or anything. I mean, I can actually think that the introductions are somewhat good to be exact. But the thing is, considering that this is actually taking place centuries or generations after Friendship is Magic, I'm going to assume that what I'm going to be witnessing could easily be the biggest issue I'm having with the film. Now, I know this is mostly a long time coming when it comes to the setting that this movie is going to be doing, but I really do not like the direction of this world taking the same culture as we're doing in the present day. Mostly the phones, the screens, and stuff like that. I know it's not really much of a big deal considering that technology improves over time, but the thing is, this isn't Across Goals, and considering that Across Goals exists in this universe, since this is taking place right after Friendship is Magic, only with centuries later, it really feels like that it's difficult to believe that the Equestria has technology being built from the ground up in this universe. I'm sorry, but that it's just gonna bother me, and I'm probably going to address that once I review this movie once it comes out next month. But getting into the introduction of characters, they really didn't get a lot of closure when it comes to this trailer, mainly the male characters. Sorry, I can't remember the characters' names that well because, again, this is still of first impressions on these characters, and just getting to know them is going to be a lot more complicated unless once the film comes out. Because just by looking at this trailer, this isn't like the My Little Pony 2017 trailer. Since that this is the first time we're going to see these characters on Netflix, and just by looking at how they're mostly portrayed, they still have the same archetypes as the characters from Friendship's Magic. Like, Izzy is mostly like Pinkie Pie, except with a different skin color and it's in CGI. And as for Sunny, I will admit that Sunny is somewhat not like Twilight Sparkle completely, because she's supposed to be completely different and she isn't really that much of an intelligent, but just by looking at her design, she might be able to contribute something by being her own character. How unfortunately, I really don't know if that's going to be the case once we see the movie for the first time. And the fact that I've instantly see the Easter egg of the main six on the counter just 10 seconds into the trailer, this movie is going to probably showcase a lot of Easter eggs involving the old generation of My Little Pony, which they did when it comes to a few screenshots, but at the same time, I would be easily enjoying these types of Easter eggs, but at the same time, it's mostly further proof that without this taking place years after Generation 4, I'm pretty sure that this won't have a good identity of its own. Now, what is something I actually enjoy from this trailer? Well, I can easily tell that I've already witnessed the plots of the plot synopsis of Izzy and Sunny going on a journey, which by the looks of it, I honestly thought that there was going to be an angry mob chasing after Izzy, but at the same time, there isn't. But compared to what I see involving these ponies not doing much, it honestly feels like that this is basically the Star Wars sequel trilogy, except it's not going to break down the world building whatsoever. I'm just saying, the technology is something that I have an issue with, but that doesn't mean that it breaks the world building completely. But considering that we're going to be seeing these characters, background characters, completely depressed because there's no friendship whatsoever, and it's basically start from scratch, I'm going to assume that they're not going to be doing this friendship lessons things whatsoever and try to make the show coming next year a lot more different compared to Friendship is Magic. Now, granted, I understand that we're not going to be able to have the same voice actors for the show next year, but at the same time, once I see these characters for the first time on Netflix, I'm going to assume that they might be able to surprise me like they did with the My Little Pony characters. And considering that there are 5 characters, I guess we're going to call this the new 5, mostly a phrase of a new generation of the main 5. Even though that calling it the main 5 is going to be a lot more awkward, but at the same time, we called the main 5 a few times in the original from My Little Pony and in Across the Years when Twilight isn't involved with the group. But getting into most of the details about these characters, mostly the character designs, compared to the character designs of the original, I really think that it somewhat fits in the CGI, but at the same time, I really feel like that they're not cute. I'm sorry, but at the same time, when you completely make something out of CGI when it comes to these animations, I still won't be able to buy it. No offense, but no matter what CGI tries in order to get with the times, it's going to be a lot more difficult for me to get accustomed to it. Granted, I did find some exceptions through other animations when it comes to this being in CGI before, but when it comes to my Generation 5 predictions, which I made last year involving the CGI compared to 2D animation, it was mostly before we get to see the CGI itself, and the fact that we're getting glimpses of it of this year, mostly through the main characters and the background characters, I have to admit that Hasbro is probably trying way too hard to make these characters a lot more different compared to Friendship is Magic. Usually I can easily adjust the character designs, but considering that for the majority of the film is this really we're going to be witnessing throughout the hour and 30 minutes in order to find some kind of enjoyment out of, I am probably going to have a difficult time finding some of the ways to get used to the world building and the character designs. Let me tell you that I would probably discuss the world building and compare it to Generation 4 once the review comes out next month, mostly because I can easily address my perspective on why the world building is really poor. Now, granted, I can understand that you can't judge something when it comes to the trailer itself, but at the same time, just by saying that this My Little Pony Generation 5 is definitely a new generation, I really don't even know what to expect other than the fact that I'm pretty sure that Celestia went to, or Princess Twilight went back to the Mirror World and just took inspiration on technology, and it instantly took over Across the Years and onwards. I know it's stupid, but considering that Across the Years is still part of this generation despite being centuries later, I'm going to assume that's probably the biggest reason. And I'm going to assume that the scrap Across the Years ideals were mostly with the other characters heading to the Mirror World and taking inspiration from technology. But I'm probably overthinking about this, so I really don't know what to expect. So, aside from my issues with the trailer and some things that I do like, again, I'm being a little bit too judgmental, and I am going to be reviewing this film once it comes out. Although it's going to lead to mostly questions and mostly of my critique of what I feel about the movie as a whole. So keep this in mind. Once I upload my review of this film, it's gonna be 100% spoilers. Regardless if you don't like me discussing spoilers, but at the same time, I'm not really interested into hiding most of the information. I mean, I did when it comes to reviewing movies that are still in theaters, but at the same time, this isn't in theaters, which is going to be mostly disappointing considering that the pandemic is what causes this film to be streaming on Netflix. Granted, it's going to get money regardless, but at the same time, not as much money compared to the 2017 film, even if it didn't got a box office success. So that's basically my opinion on this film, on the trailer of this film, and I am still looking forward to reviewing this movie, but at the same time, I'm not looking forward to watching this film just by the looks of it. Granted, it's still mostly a work in progress, and this is still something that you shouldn't be judgmental towards, but at the same time, once I watch the film, that is where my perspective comes into play. I'm Lonely Fanboy 4 here, and then see you once I upload more Summerpalooza 3 videos of this month.